We have some great news to report. Bill Nye's explosive diarrhea weapon worked amazingly, even better than we'd calculated. All the passengers were saved from the Godzilla Jesuit's anus. Bill Nye was a trooper. He mounted the explosive diarrhea weapon to the bed of a pickup truck and expertly drove to intercept the Godzilla Jesuit. The Jesuit was trying to escape and knocking down buildings as Bill Nye chased him in the truck. And they were dodging falling buildings and all the wreckage chasing this Jesuit. And then he finally got the Godzilla Jesuit where he wanted him. So he got out, activated the weapon, being extra careful not to shoot himself this time, and aimed directly at the widest part of the Godzilla Jesuit because he was shaped like a triangle, so they aimed towards the hip area. When he fired the weapon, his anus erupted with the most liquid poo that Terrence Jenkins said he ever saw in his life. He said it sure was something. It just kept coming. The weapon was extremely effective, and the force of all that liquid diarrhea dump just rocketed the Godzilla Jesuit into the air. He was flying around like when you let air out of a big balloon and feces spraying all over India. Then he swelled up right over the center of India and exploded. And this massive blast of diarrhea liquid poo covered all of India. And he died. And they thought the passengers had died too. But then they saw them, and they were all in protective oxygen bubbles floating down from the sky. And they softly landed in the waist-deep poo, and the bubbles all popped. And at that moment, everyone cheered and broke out into celebration. People were crying tears of joy. They were dancing in the waist-high poo. The onlookers were, and the passengers were happy to be out. Everybody hoisted the passengers up and started cheering. Then they hoisted Bill Nye onto the crowd, too. And that man deserves a Medal of Honor for risking his life and limb to save these people. And this happened around 4:30 a.m. here in Florida, or Eastern Standard Time in the United States, which means it happened in India about noon. We know it was noon India. So that would be on March 26, 2014, around noon India time, 4:30 a.m. here, Florida, United States time. The Malaysian Airlines jet passengers were rescued. The Malaysian passengers have been screened for health problems, and they're all fine. They just smell a little bit like feces. They were held in a hospital, and while they were at the hospital, they were checked out, and they were fine. And all the passengers' families came and met them in the liquid poo when the bubbles landed, and from there they got medical checkups. They were worried that the weapon could have potentially turned them into living sentient turds, so they wanted to screen for that, or any possibility that these people could turn into feces. But they're in good health, other than smelling a little bit like Indian food. And right now, Terrence Jenkins believes that they're being prepared to interview on talk shows and things like that. The Jesuit reaction is that they were strangely happy about it in some sick way. The Jesuits were just thrilled that a lot of world records got broken. He said it was the best Guinness Book of Jesuit World Records that he'd seen in a long time. It exceeded their expectations. And Jack Knight called Terrence Jenkins' quarters to tell him this. Apparently, we unintentionally helped Jesuits break several other records in the Guinness Book of Jesuit World Records. That Jesuit who died is now a legend, the Godzilla Jesuit. He also won the record for the most people rapidly, for the most diarrhea dumped on a population of Indians. And apparently Jesuits have dumped diarrhea on populations before, but apparently they couldn't develop the technology to generate this much. And then before they would do it just by eating lots of Taco Bell, and then they trained that way. Sarah Avery held the previous record, so she's not very happy today because somebody's outdone her. They didn't want the world to However, they blocked coverage of this from the Gabriel Chan of Fox News Channel because they didn't want the world to feel good that the passengers survived, and they didn't like it that I was getting so much attention for breaking the news, so they wanted to cover it up. And then Zach Knight showed up, pulled down his pants. He just kind of like teleported into Terrance Jenkins' Church of Gail place and pooped on his desk. He was going to try to break the world record for pooing right on Terrance Jenkins' desk. And Terrance said, "You didn't even do that much, Zach." And then Zach took off, and they put the shields down and got rid of Zach. And then Terrance went to go beat him up. So, anyways, that's the good news, folks. The passengers are all safe. Every single one of them survived. The only one who died was the Godzilla Jesuit who had absorbed the plane. So this is the good news. And I need to report it because none of the other news stations are reporting it right now.